At this time, then, I'd like to call the NACM 2018 business meeting to order. NACM does have a parliamentarian, and that's Alice Roberts. And Alice, if you could just please stand. Thank you, Alice. Appreciate the work you do for NACM. And at this time, I'd like to call on our Secretary-Treasurer, TJ Bement. Mr. Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Hold on, I can't see with a blinding light. Yes, Madam President, there is a quorum.
You heard it, and if you didn't hear it, we have a quorum. All right, we will now proceed with the business of the association. We will have the treasurer's report immediately followed by the committee reports and then the report from the nominations committee. TJ.
Thank you, Vicki. As you'll see on the screen here, our current budget from 2017, those are our actual numbers, and our 2018 estimated. As a whole, NACM as an organization is fiscally healthy. We are very mindful, as I'm sure many of you are in your professional roles, that we underestimate revenues and we overestimate our expenditures when we do our budget planning. Last year in 2017 was a very good year, thanks in large part to the annual conference that we had in the DC area. Our expectations there were exceeded such that we had a net positive for the organization, and we had some investment gains from our rainy day fund. Looking at 2018, which we are about 7 months into right now, it is not as good of a picture. Our estimated budget is to be about $95,000 in the red. So I'll let you have that moment of gasp. Thankfully, though, our mid-year conference that we had out in California was very successful and was a positive over our estimates for our revenues. Over this last year, we have made several administrative cuts. As many of you all know, we've moved to a digital version of our court manager to save some expenses. We do have some additional new expenses with our website, for which we are taking some monies out of our rainy day investment account to support the cost of that. And we have increased some of our sponsor opportunities to make up for some of our revenue losses. We do think that our final number will be significantly less than that $95,000 in the red, and with our cash forward balance from the previous year, we hope that ultimately we will come out in the black and be in a good position to move into next year. Conference development, I will introduce Paul DeLoche.
Thank you, TJ. And obviously, you can tell what the Conference Development Committee has been up to. Certainly, this event here today and this week. But just starting at the beginning of the year, as TJ had mentioned, we had a very successful conference in Orange County. And actually, as I had indicated on the slide here, it was the highest attended mid-year that we've actually had for NACM. So as these conferences get more interest around the court community, we continue to see sellouts or near sellouts. So we hope that continues, certainly. So a couple of things that were changed, actually, for the conferences. For the mid-year, we, in the past, had a 1.5-day educational program. The board approved the expansion of that to 2 full days, so that was very successful, and we had our pilot run at the Orange County Conference, so again, it was very successful. And another thing Vicki had mentioned, we continue to mention the conference app, and we continue to make improvements to that as we can, but we need your input and participating in using that as well. So please use that and let us know how you think that operates for you and functions for you as a conference attendee. And we continue with our educational consultant, too, to work on faculty engagement and development as well. We have a wide range of different faculty members that we bring in these conferences, and we work with them a lot one-on-one to make sure that learning objectives are met and conference themes are met. So that continues as well. One of the things that the Conference Development Committee will tackle within the next coming months will be the call for proposal process, where we engage the court community and others for calls for session proposals for the conferences. And we're changing that slightly to start earlier, and so we're going to start in August for 2019, and shortly thereafter for 2020. It really takes that long to put everything together for our individual conferences, so we'll be working on that as well. And one change for the association was the development of the Education Committee. It was a decision that was made by the board as an association that focuses on training and education. We wanted a specific committee dedicated to that. And so starting next year, we'll have a standalone committee, and the Conference Development Committee will be a subcommittee under that. But that committee will focus on educational programming, not only for the conferences, but for our webinars and our annual guide, as well as support for articles for our court manager. So we look forward to that, and if you're interested in joining that, please let us know. So as far as conferences are concerned, I have on the slide the two year conferences coming up in 2019. We will be in Little Rock, Arkansas for the mid-year and Las Vegas for the annual. In 2020, we'll be in Charlotte and then New Orleans for the annual. And as you can see at the bottom right of the slide, and as you saw in the slideshow, we do have committee meetings on Wednesday, and we encourage you to attend those to get an understanding of the work of the various committees of NACM. And the Conference Development Committee meeting is on Wednesday at 1 p.m. in room 204 and 205. And back on the call for proposals, if you all are interested in attending, we are interested to hear your thoughts on that process as well as the theme for the upcoming conferences, so please come with your ideas as well. So thank you very much for all of everyone's participation in the development of these great educational programs. So at this point, I'll go ahead and turn that over to our Communications Vice Chair, Alice Roberts, who will share the activity of the Communications Committee this past year.
Thank you, Paul. As Paul mentioned, I'm Alice Roberts. I've been serving as the Vice Chair of the Communications Committee, and I'm here on behalf of Don Palermo, who has been the Chair of the committee for the past 2 years. For those of you who may not be familiar with what the committee does, the Communications Committee is responsible for promoting effective communications with NACM members and its partners. This includes work on the NACM's journal, the Court Manager, the newsletter, the Court Express, NACM's website, the NACM guide that we produce annually for members, and NACM's webinars, which are becoming increasingly more popular each year. This past year was a very, very busy year for the Communications Committee. As you've already heard, we redesigned our website. That was through the efforts of a subcommittee of the Communications Committee. We converted the Court Manager to an online publication. We produced 4 webinars covering plain language, court administrators, the Conference of Chief Justices Civil Justice Initiative, and trauma awareness. We published a DV guide, and we began work on preparing to publish a plain language guide. So that's something you can look forward to. At this point, I'd like to, for those of you in the room who serve on the Communications Committee, if you could just stand up, I would just like to express appreciation for all the work you do on the committee. And I'd also like to recognize a few members on the committee who were particularly helpful this past year. NACM member, and by the way, I don't think the people I'm about to recognize, I think most of them are not here, but if you work with these folks, I'd appreciate it if you could come up and collect their certificate. So NACM member Daniel Rossetti from Guam always attends the Communications Committee meeting, and for her, this is no easy feat, as when we meet, it's 6 a.m. her time. But I honestly don't think she ever misses a meeting, which I just find incredibly impressive given the timing. Danielle also helped us this year. One of our tasks this year was to review outdated guides to determine if we needed to archive them, if they were no longer relevant. And Danielle helped us with that effort. So Danielle, I really appreciate you. And again, if anyone is here from Guam, please come up and collect her certificate. I'd also like to thank and recognize Aurora Zamora. She assisted with the review of older guides, and she also is serving as the chair of the Plain Language Guide Committee, and she's doing a fabulous job. Roger Rand from Oregon also helped with drafting the RFP for the website, and I think he's been instrumental throughout that project. And then finally, I want to thank Joe Fazzari, who regularly attends our meetings. And Joe was very instrumental in the movement of the court manager to the online publication. His feedback is always very thoughtful and helpful. So thank you, Joe. And finally, I just want to say that if you are interested in learning more about the Communications Committee and participating in the work of the committee, I would love for you to join us at our committee meeting, which will be on Wednesday between 11 and 12 in room 204. So thank you. That's all I have. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce the chair of the membership committee, Jeff Chappell, and he'll give his report.
Those are some bright lights. And when you just had a new cornea put on about 6 weeks ago, bear with me. Welcome, my name's Jeff Chappell. I've been pleasure of serving the membership committee for the last 2 years. Jeffrey Sinakawa is my vice chair, so it's Team Jeff. So on behalf of that, the committee actively pursues new and non-new members and responds to all inquiries concerning membership. We're responsible for awards, state associations, the early career professionals, and welcoming new members at the conference, to name a few items that we do throughout the year. We had an opportunity to make an impact on membership by looking for ways to make members more appealing and offering our current membership new opportunities. This past year was no exception as we implemented our onboarding program. We've been talking about this for many years, and we were actually able to complete it this year. All the new members each month are placed into a series of communications, starting with their original welcome. Next month, they'll hear about the website information. What a great new website we have. Other ways to get involved, NACM's social media, conference information, and then the renewal information. Do we have any new members that have received these communications in the last 7 months that we've been implementing this? If so, please stand so I can see our efforts. Okay. So that was a task that we'd all been trying to do, and with the volunteer organization, it kind of fell off the wagons every year or so. So we have an automated system, and using technology to advance the membership has been a great opportunity for the organization. Membership also has the opportunity to partner with other associations, and we're happy to announce we have a dual membership agreement with the National Council of Juvenile and Family Court Judges. That is in effect, and please renew your membership or join if you're part of those organizations on that dual membership agreement. It's a great new partnership we started this year. We are also in charge of conference scholarships, and as Vicki alluded earlier, the Fun Run t-shirts, I apologize, the conference t-shirts, not just the Fun Run. It doesn't say Fun Run anymore. It says conference. The conference t-shirts are available for $20, and all those proceeds go to our scholarship fund, where we had the opportunity to have members apply and support them in their opportunity to be here at this conference and at our mid-year conference. Our mid-year conference was our first time we offered that, and we brought 3 of our colleagues there, and we have 4 this year here. So, but with our work, I have many outstanding committee members, but I do want to acknowledge 3 this year. Mark Weinberg is a consistent contributor and very reliable and volunteers frequently. So Mark, if you're here, please come on up and I'll give you your award here in just a moment. Lisa McNeil, she's always been committed even through her retirement. She retired this year and she has joined every call even past her retirement, and continues to reach out to those retired members. So, and then finally, my third one is Michelle Oken. She's been and continues to be a leading voice in the international subcommittee and continues to make efforts to maintain good relationships with our international partners. So if Michelle and Mark are here, I know Lisa did not make it. Please come on up and I get your award here in just a second. Those that would like to enjoy the camaraderie and networking opportunities on this committee, join us on Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock in room 206 and 207. And now I'll turn it over to Greg Lombard with the Governance Committee.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm Greg Lombard, work in Superior Court, New Jersey. I'm this year's chair of the Governance Committee. Our work continues. I can't see the screen. First, we work on resolutions for the association. My vice chair, Rick Pierce from Pennsylvania, has done an excellent job on this. I want to highlight the one resolution on the top there where we did a resolution in support of Maureen O'Connor, Dr. Maureen O'Connor from Michigan State University. We wanted to congratulate them and her on their work in educating court professionals over the years. We work on the association's operations manual. Julie Dybus of Arizona, also vice chair of the Governance Committee, has done a very good job in updating the appendices of the operations manual, which is a lot of work, a little tedious, but very important. We work on ethics. Our chair there for that committee is Peter Kiefer from Arizona, doing an excellent job as well. This year, they spent a lot of time exploring the ethical issues involved with court staff working in specialty courts. We monitor the strategic plan. We'll be doing that this year. We do that in preparation for the executive board's work in setting the next year's court goals for the association. This year, we've done a lot of work on what we call the voice of the profession. That's a concept that NACM should have a voice in the national dialogue about courts and the people who work in them. There's two elements there that we did this year. One is we will have the first ever State of the Profession address done by our president, Vicki Carlson. We were very proud to be able to help her in preparing for that. That's going to be done on Tuesday. And following up on that, we will be giving everybody a survey on the voice. Basically, what do you think NACM should be doing with this voice that we have? That survey will be available pretty much immediately after that address, so we're looking forward to filling that out and getting those results. Those results will hopefully be helpful in crafting the next version of the national agenda for courts, which I believe will be done again in 2020. Finally, we'll be meeting at 2 o'clock on Wednesday. We would love to have you join us. We could use some more folks. This is important work for the organization. And lastly, I'd like to recognize two people from the committee with, have given an outstanding effort this year. One is Angie Van Schook from Breckenridge, Colorado. She's a very willing person, great contributor, and very consistent. So we're very happy with the work she's done for us. And then secondly, Mark Dalton from Florida, I believe. He's a hero in my mind on the Ops Committee because that's a lot of work, and he's helped us for a number of years in crafting the changes to the operations manual. So I'll meet you two over there, and next up will be Kathy Griffin to talk about the core committee. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Greg. I was hoping I would be below the lights, but apparently they get down here too. Thank you. As Greg said, I'm chair of the core committee. The core, to align with the NACM strategic planning priorities, our main charge was to promote our core, the tremendous resource that it is for educational development. One of those would be we've partnered with other partnerships to go there and do presentations, such as TJ Bement went to the National Drug Court Association and presented on the core there. We've also done presentations at different partner state associations. Besides that, we have subcommittees that we are reviewing all the core material to keep it vibrant and fresh. And we have done updates to 4 of the 13 curricula now. We have review groups for the 5th and 6th forming right at this moment. Those are accountability and court performance are getting ready for their initial kickoff, as well as strategic planning. So if you have any interest in either of those 2 curricula, please contact me, and we'd love to have you on one of those review groups. Besides that, we also do a session at every one of our conferences. This will be our 10th curricula that we'll be presenting on at this conference on educational development. It's going to be a great session. It's this afternoon at 3, and then it repeats again at 4:15. So with that, I'd like to recognize one person that I met at last year's social event. We rode on the bus together to the social event, and we started talking. She had been at our core session, and that's Judy Lee. And Judy joined the committee right after I talked to her about it on the bus ride. Not only has she attended every call, but every time I've needed a volunteer, she stepped right up to the plate to volunteer, and she has now chaired several of our review committee, and she works with Janet Cornell in charge of those review committees. So I'd like to thank Judy for all her service to the committee. And if Judy is here, okay, if you'll come up front, I'd like to present you with your certificate. With that, I turn it over to the Nominations Committee and immediate past President Scott Griffith.
Before Scott gets up, could we have all of our award winners, our committee chair award winners, could you all stand? If you were given a committee award today, could you all stand, please? Please join me in congratulating all these people. Thank you. It takes a lot of work to get the work of NACM done, and so we really appreciate all of the committees and the individuals who serve on those committees, and for those of you who go the extra mile. Now, one more thing I want you all to do. If you serve on a committee, will you please stand? I'm really curious on who serves on committees here. If you serve on any NACM committee, would you please stand? Come on, everybody. Come on, we got more than that. I know we do. Thank you all for your service to NACM. As you could see from our committees, the chairs do a lot of work in organizing. They hold monthly meetings, and I'm really appreciative of all of the work of the chairs in getting the NACM business done. So with that, I will move on to Scott. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicki. Just a little bit more standing and possibly more clapping here. I do want to recognize the members of the Nominations Committee, and for the 4 of you who are on the committee, I would ask you to stand. It was Paul Burke from Massachusetts, Alice Roberts from Alaska, Crystal McCreary from Arizona, Reynard Darensberg from Louisiana, and as immediate past president, I served as chair of the committee. I don't have a gift for you, but on behalf of my colleagues on the board, thank you very much for your help yesterday. Much appreciated. We had a deep pool and some hard decisions to make, and you can see on the screen the slate of nominees. Per NACM's bylaws, our president, Vicki Carlson, automatically becomes the immediate past president, and our president-elect, Paul Delache, becomes president. Congratulations, Vicki and Paul. Madam President, the Nominations Committee submits the following nominations. For President-elect, Will Simmons from Georgia. Will, if you could stand. For Vice President, T.J. Bement from Georgia. For Secretary-Treasurer, Kathy Griffin from Michigan. And for our directors, Charleston Carter from North Carolina for a 3-year term. Michelle Donovan from Arizona for a 3-year term. Tina Matheson from Arizona for a 3-year term. Frank Hardister from Michigan for a 2-year term. And Angela Van Schoik from Colorado for a 2-year term. Congratulations to all of you. Vicki.
Okay, at this time, it's time to take nominations from the floor. So are there any nominations from the floor? Again, are there any nominations from the floor? And if there are, you're probably going to have to yell out or something. I can't really see. All right, hearing none, nominations are closed. Okay, at this time, you know what they say, it's always better to give more time than less time, but you'll have a little bit longer break, and we'll recess the business meeting at this time until Thursday at 8:45. So see you then, enjoy your extra long break.